y'all. What happened, y'all? Y'all, we got another reaction. This time reaction will be for VD David. Happy holiday. Just in case nobody said it to you. Everything in my context always includes allegedly. And these are my opinions and not necessarily applause. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Close that screen door and stop letting all those flies up in here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Advertise. Really advertise. Well, I never heard a lot of stuff, y'all. I'm new to a lot of stuff. But y'all, I want to get into this David. I really want to get into the David D4VD and Celeste Rivas case. There's a lot of things going. I'm gonna keep it real with you. It's a lot going on in this case, y'all. And this case remind me, and I don't want to say it, I'm gonna say it over and over again. That this case remind me Brian Kohlberger. Brian Kohlberger in Idaho, who went in, allegedly went in the house and, you know, did those things to those people, to them young people in that house. And D4VD David case remind me Brian Kohlberger case. So I was kind of like with Brian Kohlberger case, I was like mixed emotions because the way it was put out there as if Brian Kohlberger was innocent. And I connected with D4VD David. So a lot of y'all didn't follow Brian Kohlberger case. So it's gonna be difficult to make you understand what I'm saying, okay? Brian Kohlberger case threw me off on a lot of things because they had a stalker. One of the girls had a stalker. Now in D4VD David case, you had Celeste Rivas, who was allegedly in a relationship, some kind of relationship with the singer. For those who don't know who David D4VD is, he is a young singer. And he met Celeste online because he's a streamer. And he did homeschool. So back in the days, he met this young girl around about 13, 14 years old, 11, probably younger than that. But I want to stay focused on the reason why I'm feeling, the reason why I'm thinking, and be careful about the way I'm thinking with critically with the D4VD case and Brian Kohlberger case. See, Brian Kohlberger case and Brian Kohlberger, they had me thinking that he knew about the school children, no school children. You know what I mean? So Brian, y'all got to remember, Brian Kohlberger was 28. And David, when he met Celeste, probably one of them about 6, 17 or something, 17, 18, something like that. But when this incident happened, she was 20. He was 20, 19 or 20. So you're talking about young-minded. So you have to get into thinking of young-minded, you know, in this situation. So the same way I thought about Brian Kohlberger, I thought Brian Kohlberger was kind of innocent to me because the way they put out the information don't seem like he has nothing to do with it because what the police, what the information that they was giving us, y'all, the information that was given to us in the Bryant Kohlberger case made us think that Brian wasn't innocent. Brian was in. It's something like D4VD case. 1 minute they'll make us think that D4VD David is innocent, and 1 minute they make us think that there was a crime that involves D4VD David, the streamer. Well, he stopped being a streamer and started singing. He really didn't want to sing. So see, I tried it. See, with David, D4VD David case, I'm trying not to say he's innocent or not innocent because they tricked me giving us information on Brian Kohlberger case. And it shocked me that Brian Kohlberger did that to those kids. And so David, it's shocking me that a body, it was in his trunk. You two, we have to talk about the cases. These are real cases. And you can't make them up. You can't make us not tell the truth. You can't make us not tell what happened inside these cases. But inside the case that crime had occurred. Okay, you can't talk about a case of somebody deceased if you don't talk about the case. So with Brian Kohlberger case, y'all, I followed that case from the beginning. And I did not believe that man was innocent, but I knew something was going on, mentally, but I didn't think that Brian Kohlberger was that person. He was my person of interest. And the whole time he was intelligent, just like D4VD David. He was intelligent. He was cool. He manipulated us. He made us think that he was this good guy. And so that's how I am right now with D4VD David. Now it's a lot of only thing different between D4VD David and Brian Kohlberger is you're dealing with Hollywood with D4VD. You hear Hollywood things going on found in the mansion of D4VD in the Hollywood mansion. First of all, the house wasn't rented out to D4VD. It was rented out to Josh Marshall. And with this situation right here, the different from this D4VD case in Brian Kohlberger case is Hollywood and not Hollywood. You got college students and then you got youngsters. So it's a lot of things. Now, one thing I do like about Brian Kohlberger case, but it's still, like I said, they gave you the information. They gave you information, at least the Idaho, either the investigators, the police officer did have a news press to make us have a critical thinking of Brian Kohlberger being a suspect. Okay, because his car was involved, just like D4VD David car is involved. It's a body in D4VD David's car, and Brian Kohlberger allegedly was driving around in his car. But he also was a prime suspect he was the suspect in the case. and he was still calm. Brian Kohlberger didn't talk. He didn't want to tell. He was doing something like what D4VD David doing. But it's some weird stuff that was found in D4VD in the mansion that he was living in. Now, we have no proof. The items that they found in D4VD David mansion that he was rented out was something that he bought, like a burn cage. Did he buy that burn cage? They didn't tell us. But let me tell you something. Behind D4VD David, we don't have an investigator talking to us. Only people talk to us with TMZ. The officer came in one time with the D4VD, and then next time we know they was in court. And they're not discussing this case with us because this D4VD in Hollywood went viral. Because like I say, he's a singer and all the young people like him. But what you got then you have Brian Kohlberger over here. They didn't too much care about Brian Kohlberger. So behind the D4VD case, you have two managers. You got Josh Marshall, and you got the oh my God, what is this? Morgan what is this other what the others manager, the second manager who went to court. I get it more Morgan something y'all I find out though. All I know is him. I don't have my notes in front of me right now. So with David with D4VD case and David case, we know for a fact that there was crime that taken place in both cases. So we can't ignore the fact that that's what happened. Allegedly, you had crimes. You had one in the D4VD case. You had a minor in a car, found in a car, and in a front trunk of a Tesla. Right? And that belongs to David, where everybody drive the Tesla. Okay, I don't know what car he was driving, but everybody drove that car, and they wreck that car sometimes. Then you have over here D4. Then you have Brian Kohlberger had a car, and he was riding around in the midnight, saying he liked to see the moon and like to chill out at night, and that's not unusual. So with D4VD case, the only thing that is I don't want to say he is a suspect. I don't want to say he is not a suspect. Only reason why I don't want to say he is a suspect, and I don't want to say he's not a suspect, is because the lack of information that was given to us, the adding of the information, the how they came to us with D4VD case. It was a lot of mislead information given to the social media and the news. So it was a lot of stuff what I would say that wasn't presented to the public correctly. So 1 minute it was Dave D4VD this, and 1 minute D4VD that. D4VD went out of town. Before VD went out of town. Last time they saw Celeste Rivas was in January of this year. A lot of things in her case don't add up for me, to be dealing with a minor. But with the Brian Kohlberger case, you're dealing with college student, old enough. But then you're dealing with D4VD, not old enough. But also you got parental rights. Parental has something to do with the D4VD case. So I think that it's a lot going on in the house. I don't think that it should be Even though they found a burn cage in there, that could have been an acting part of an act. Because David liked to act. He had cast. He did in D4VD, he did a show where he used a casket and people coming like to a funeral, and he used a lot of other things that makes it Hollywood. I don't think that and then with the burn cage that found in the home, even the FBI didn't even take it because it was in a box. It could have been part of his show, you know what I mean? So here I am with D4VD case. Where I'm at is that's his car. A body in his car. A body found unalive in his car. That's his car. So D4VD has to take some type accountability that young girl being in his trunk. You know, I think that he should be a suspect. Not saying that he act in this situation, but I think he should be accountable. They got to give him some kind of accountability. David had friends. David had friends that like him. David had friends that bees around him. So I'm gonna take this D4VD case and I'm gonna really study this case out because we only people that gave us something was TMZ. It wasn't and then they stopped TMZ from talking and stopped the medical examiner for giving us information. So it's like with the D4VD case, it's gonna seem like a soap opera to us. It's because of the deliverance of the case. The case right now is in front of a grand jury. The case right now, they have witnesses that they are questioning that we don't know. They're not telling us anything. See, with Brian Kohlberger case, I thought Brian didn't do it. And then came to my mind, well, I don't see how Brian did it for the information that was given to us. The way the investigators, when they start finding stuff in his house, in his apartment, just like they finding things in D4VD case, but also give me a proof that D4VD should be accountable. Celeste, a part of what happened to Celeste, even though if he didn't murder her, because it's a lot of stuff we don't know, y'all. They keeping a lot of things from us in the D4VD case. They don't kept a whole lot from us. So the question is, should there be an arrest? Will anybody get arrested in his case? Why is nobody going to get arrested in D4VD case? And then you had Cole Bryant, it was 4 Idaho student in that house that they found in a criminal act unalive. Then you have witnesses that was in Brian Kohlberger in Idaho case. You had witnesses, called witness was awake. But then in D4VD, you do have witnesses that do drive that car. And also you have a witness, Steve Fisher. He's a PI. He told us that he saw who drove that car, who moved the car. And I have a question about that car. Why is that car moved to the other side of the street? To me, that look like they hit the car to keep from anything to be exposed, exposed about the car. I don't think they want nobody to know nothing about the car. I don't know if they set that car up to where it can be told. You see what I mean? So we don't know if David is a part of the act. Is he part of the situation? But I think he should be accountable in some kind of way. I definitely think that David should be accountable, held accountable. I think that there's a lot missing out this case because they're not telling us anything. So I'm gonna be careful to say that he's will be a prime suspect. Because why is a Celeste not here with us? Why? What did she do? What did she say? So I just want to bring that to y'all attention that where I am in the D4VD David case is there should be an arrest. There should be an arrest. Somebody got to take accountability for what happened to Celeste Rivas. She didn't do herself like that. She didn't do this to herself. Somebody did this to this girl. And we need to get down and find out what happened. Y'all make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for being here.